Hello, I'm Michael Houston, CEO, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Tara Houston, who is the founder of Houston Consulting Groups and Associates. And we welcome you to our Business Empowerment Series today. And before we get started, first, we just invite you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can find us at Business Empowerment Series by HCG and Associates. And make sure you click on the notification bell so you are notified right away as we publish all of our editions. And you'll be able to listen to this edition as well as our past editions. We've had some wonderful guests on who will surely inspire and empower you. But I tell you, today we're so excited. We have just a very special guest I know that's near and dear to me. Love him. And this young man here, we went to high school, way back Hayfield High School in Alexandria. Just a phenomenal young man. But that is none other than Lin Rountree, who's a smooth jazz recording artist. I tell you, this young man has produced 6 albums, jazz albums, and he's actually had a guest appearance on over 70 artist albums. Many singles that have been on the top 25 smooth jazz charts, and he'll get into more and more of his success. But hey, without further ado, just want to welcome you. Hey, Lin Rountree. How you doing today, Lin?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tara. We appreciate so much you guys doing something like this because it gives us the platform to be able to share not just our music, but the people behind the music and the people behind the businesses that are being operated. And I think in that regard, it helps people understand better and support better when we talk about our businesses.
That is just awesome, man.
Yes.
We're just excited. I'm excited because we have an affinity to music.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have 4 boys, and out of them, Lin, we have 2 that play trumpet,
wow,
a violist, a violinist, and a self-taught pianist. So music goes on in our house all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things we enjoy is listening to your music.
Yes.
I mean, and I just
bless you.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get more into your story and hear about, you know, how your talent took you where you are now, and it's just so exciting. But what's that I see in your hand? Do I see?
That's a flugelhorn. I don't go too far without it.
All right.
Flugelhorn. I know that's right.
Well, since you got it,
it's my vehicle.
Since you have it right there, we just want to hear a little bit. We just got to hear a little bit, a little sound.
Just a little bit.
Please.
Just a little taste.
Yeah, a little taste of For Your Love. Can we hear a little bit of that?
I like that.
I think I can do that. I think I can do that.
Appreciate it. All right, here we go. Lin Rountree.
For Your Love.
Yeah, I like that.
Smooth. Very smooth.
I like that. Smooth. Go ahead, Lin. Wow. Man, that was awesome. That was awesome. Again, that was none other than Lin Rountree, smooth jazz recording artist who currently hails from Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, Detroit, Michigan.
Hey, that was a blessing, I tell you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh,
you know, interestingly, that was the first song. I've got 6 projects to date, working on my 7th. But that song was the actual first single that I released to Smooth Jazz Radio.
Wow.
And when we go through the history, I'll tell you how that actually came about. But that was the first song that I released Smooth Jazz Radio, and it popped me off it introduced me to the world. So
Wow.
it's amazing that still stands the test of time after
almost
13 years.
I like a lot of your music, but I think that's my favorite. I really do.
Yeah. Just sit back and relax to that one. That's nice. That's nice. Hey, but Lin, we got to go back. Again, we've known each other for a long time, high school days, and I tell you, your mother, she was definitely a blessing to me. I remember. And again, we're going to go into the business side of jazz, but I bring that up because I remember I was in a program with your mom, Future Business Leaders of America.
Oh.
And I remember it was through her that she took us and got a chance to meet in person Earl Graves.
Yep.
Earl Graves.
Remember that.
You remember that, yeah.
And
he left just an incredible impression upon me. May God rest his soul. We know he recently passed and everything, but he really inspired me to create a legacy for my family and a business legacy, and really inspired me to go into entrepreneurship. And so I just, always thankful for your mom, who worked at Hayfield and having that program and giving us an opportunity to meet Earl Graves in person, who's the founder of, Black Enterprise Magazine.
So yeah, I mean, that's our connection. Our connection is deep, man, because not only, were we in the same school, you learned from my mother. I learned from your mother. I had your mother as a teacher.
That's right.
And she whipped me into shape like I was one of her sons. So I was like, what did Mike do to her? Because she's coming at me like I'm one of her sons, man, and just whipping me into shape. Yeah. And but I loved her for it, and I loved my mom, loved our moms. Have both of our moms teaching at the school. Both of us kind of went through a unique experience that not many other kids did. You know what I mean? We had to deal with that whole, your mom teaches at school. Oh, I got your mom, man, can you tell your mom, give me a good, all that type of stuff, But yeah, man, it's a blessing, man, that to have just strong Black role models, role models in our mothers, not just Black, but our mothers.
Right, absolutely.
My mother with the Black History Program and the FBLA, your mother with all of the things that she was able to do and inspiring all of the kids and all of us to go out and be successful. These are the things that I think are very, very important, in terms of our community with structure. And discipline, because both of them were disciplinarians. We may not have liked everything that they told us to do right then, but we certainly, after we see the trajectory of our lives and how we're able to navigate through this life, using some of the skills that they were able to instill in us, I think it's a blessing.
Absolutely. And God bless their souls. And we're able to continue to live out their legacy. Through our the John Rays and venues that we're operating in business, and you yourself in business and music, and so it's just a blessing. And so so kind of take us back, because a lot of people who know you may not know certain things about you, about your journey, and just tell a little bit about your affinity for music. How did you grow to how did you develop that passion for music, specifically in jazz? And I know you went on to play for that world famous marching band AMU Rattlers. So I know go ahead.
So the next title, the title of my last album is called Stronger Still. It's a testament to me being in this industry so long and this fortitude that it took. This CD I'm calling Fluid, just simple fluid, because, it does, again, track the progress through this industry, and how, fluid you have to be willing to kind of manipulate your way through all of the challenges and all of the different pitfalls. Sometimes you can't know where you're going, which is, when water just kind of goes where it should go. But then when it opens up, if you open it up, it floods, because that's where the opening is. But when it's going through so that said, it leads me into how I ended up getting to where I am now. Of course, at Hayfield, I was in the band and the choir, and I did that. I picked up the trumpet back in 5th grade as a way to kind of get out of class. And then because my dad had it on the mantelpiece. It's funny that you have sons that are playing. My dad, the ultimate Jedi master, before Star Wars was even around, he put that trumpet that he used to play in school, in high school, on the mantelpiece in the front room. And he used to always give me a speech and say, hey, look, this house is yours. You can touch everything in this house except for that trumpet.
Ooh,
What is the first thing you think I thought about touching every time I walked past that mantelpiece? And he said, now, if you touch it, you're in trouble.
Mm.
So I touched it. He put a little pin on it. So it'd fall off if I grabbed it. And one time I grabbed it, the pin fell off. He later told me that he did this. I didn't know.
Okay.
So he knew I had touched it. And he said, why'd you touch that horn? And I said, I'm sorry. I apologize. He's like, I told you that's one thing you don't need to touch. You can't touch in this house. And for that, you're going to have to pick up and play.
Okay.
I picked it up, played it. That's what started me playing through school, through high school and everything. And upon graduation, when I went to get accepted to Florida A&M, we had to try out. I had gone through all my, try to figure out where I wanted to go in college and where I wanted to, learn and who had the best band, who had the best business program. I chose FAMU because of the business program, because of the band, but you had to try out for both. You had to write an essay and all that to get into the business program, and you had to try out for FAM. I tried out and made it. And when I got my papers to go to FAM, upon graduation, my dad handed me that trumpet and said, now you take this trumpet. He's like, and you put it on your mantelpiece in your house, and let this be an example of you being able to navigate through life. With whatever challenges that come at you, be able to take a goal and finish that goal. It may be bumpy, it may be rocky. And that's how it was. In college, I played in the marching band. I decided I wanted to do something real silly and pledge Omega Psi Phi. And so, that took me away from the band for a little bit. But then upon graduation, I had a great time marching. And, in that beautiful marching band, but it didn't inspire me to go on into music any further, because when I got out, I wanted to go into business. So when I got out, I went into pharmaceutical sales and legal pharmaceutical sales.
Oh, yes. No, that's right.
Thanks for
Thank you.
Qualify that.
No, that's right.
So I went into pharmaceutical sales and moved to Detroit, and then ended up in Milwaukee. And so I had the trumpet sitting in the closet, and a friend of mine who knew me from back in college was getting married. And he said, hey, man, I'm getting married. And, I remember you played the trumpet. I don't know any musicians, man. Why don't you come play the trumpet at my wedding?
Okay.
I said, man, I haven't picked up a trumpet in years, man. I don't know. He said, man, it doesn't matter. Just play the trumpet, man. If I do something, man, I just want one of my frat brothers playing. I was like, all right, cool. So I found another of my frat brothers who played the piano, and we got together and we went through some songs, and I got used to my trumpet again, and we played, and he gave us like $50 a piece. And I said, well, yeah, wait a minute. Me being a business guy, I was like, hey, man, $50, I can pick up this trumpet, and make some money from it like that. So that's when the light turned on, and I started getting back into my studies, and I started going to a bunch of jam sessions and getting, stronger at playing and learning more music and getting deeper and deeper into jazz and jazz standards. And what could I do? Because art became meshed with business. There was an opportunity there for me. There was a need. Hey, I could provide a basic service, and I could enjoy what I'm doing and pick up something that I had loved all my life that I had put down. And so that just led me into what I'm doing today. When I got to Detroit, I decided to start a band, again, out of a necessity, because I wanted to get gigs, but people weren't hiring trumpet players for sidemen. The first sidemen in a regular R&B band, because, okay, take you back. I'm an R&B guy. I always loved R&B. I love jazz too. But I was kind of late to go into straight ahead jazz, one. And my passion was always R&B. But it wasn't until I got to Detroit that I actually saw instrumentalists and people playing in R&B bands. And so I wanted to be in an R&B band, but again, they weren't hiring trumpet players as sidemen. The typical sideman in an R&B band was usually either a guitar player or a saxophone player, but it wasn't a trumpet player. We don't know about a trumpet player being a sideman. We don't know. It's just brass and y'all are usually section players and Earth, Wind, and Fire players. And so, I said, well, look, I'm going to have to, if I want to play the way I want to play, I'm going to have to start a band.
There we go. I like that.
So I got to Detroit, a city rich in history, rich in musicians. Well, all the musicians here in Detroit are some product of some person from Motown. So you can imagine there's all a tight-knit group. So here's this trumpet player that just moved to Detroit, trumpet player that can't get any gigs because no one wants to hire him, starting his own band amongst all these people. Well, again, I took a business approach. I said, well, what is it going to
like that.
What is it going to take for me to start a band and get myself involved? And what are these people not doing? And what can I do to start my band and get my band popped off? Well, I decided, I was going to I said, well, where are bands? Bands are at clubs and nightclubs. And, I started to analyze how these bands able to add value to the nightclub scene, and what are they doing? I noticed that the hypest bands, the bands were playing music that people wanted to hear. The people were excited. The people were buying drinks. Club owners, what do they like? They like people to buy drinks. They like people to be happy. They like people to eat. So I constructed my band with a vocalist. I started to play good cover tunes, and lo and behold, in about a year or so, I had the #1 cover band in the city of Detroit. I mean, this is out of all of the other people that had been playing for years and years and years. And people were like, well, what is he doing? Well, I simply started playing what people wanted to hear. I said, some of the bands are just playing stuff that they like and that they think is cool. I'm playing Jill Scott. I'm playing, the popular stuff on the radio that people can get with. And so the club owners started to say, well, my receipts at the end of the night when Roundtree's band is playing, thousands more than the regular other bands. So we're going to start booking Roundtree more because, we make more money when Roundtree's band is playing. So then that's when I started to see the business side of all of this. Of course, I'm not taking away the artistic value and the creative value.
Right.
But again, I know this is a long story, but this is my progression. So after a while, I started to get, a good reputation with the band. My band was called Up Close. People started to want to see where Up Close was playing, and I started to get a following. And so people started to ask me, wait, man, where can I take your music home? Because we love what you guys did. Do you have a CD? I can buy it. Again, I can sell more CDs at the end of the night and make some more money. So how do I put a CD? I don't know anything about recording a CD. I'm just a cover band playing cover tunes, but I don't know anything about writing music or recording. So I started to get into trying to write some music, write some songs, and lo and behold, I realized not at the time that I had a talent for writing. I just put down my ideas with a basic little machine, and these two guys heard what I was doing. They heard about my band. They said, hey man, would you like to come in and record? I was like, well, sure, but here are some of the songs that I've been writing. And they sounded, of course, low budget and cheap, but they could hear where these songs were going. Right. And so these were two very reputable producers, and they took my songs and made them real songs. And when they sent them back to me, I said, wow, this is a real song. They said, yeah, it was based on the idea that you laid out, the creative idea that you laid out.
Right.
Can you do more of that? I was like, oh yeah. If we can do this, and then absolutely I can do it. So we ended up making a whole CD, and I didn't know anything about smooth jazz. I hadn't even listened to smooth jazz a lot. I didn't know what was going on in that industry. Right. We just made a CD basically to be able to sell at my gigs after the show, so I could capture some more income.
Absolutely. I like it.
But in the process of that, we made a beautiful CD. And then when we put that CD out, I had a great guy named Tim Bowman, who's a guitar player. He was really hot at that time. He's still a great guitar player, but he had a #1 hit on the smooth jazz charts. He happened to be good friends with these producers, and he liked this. He heard my name. He liked what he heard from me and of me. He said, you're really pushing the envelope. I like what you're doing, Roundtree. How can I help? And they said, well, just play on the song that we got. We wrote this song called For Your Love, me and Dan Davis, and just come in and play the song. And so Tim Bowman laid out his part on For Your Love, and we let people hear it. People loved it. I had no concept of, is this a good song? It's not a good song. Where does it fare in smooth jazz? I just knew it sounded good to me. Hey, sounds good. People were saying, this sounds great. Man, is this you for real? What? Right. I'm like, I don't understand why people like this song so much. Because I don't have the concept right now. I don't understand. So we've got with an investor. An investor put some money behind the single and put it out into smooth jazz. Because again, a business, you have to get a smooth jazz promoter. You have to pay them a certain amount of money. There's a campaign that you have to run. There's product that you have to put together. So you need a good $20,000-$25,000.
So in other words, you have to invest in yourself and invest.
You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself. You got to find investors. It's a business, man.
That's right.
Business. It's not enough just to write. There's a lot of guys that are stuck in that phase where they're just writing songs. Right. And they don't know what to do with them. And they're talented and they've got such great songs and great material, but they don't know how to get beyond, you know,
Yes.
how to get it out to the masses.
Right.
So they're just great artists
And
over
get,
here in the corner that nobody hears.
yeah, and get to the part about, you know, duplicating yourself so that you don't have to physically go and play every night. So now you're at the point where you have the CDs and the residual aspect.
Right.
I know you mentioned that there were four aspects of this. I've heard you say that before. There were 4 aspects to being a musician in the business realm.
Well, there are four money streams.
There you
money
go.
streams.
There
Money
you
streams.
go.
Four.
I know that's right.
Yeah, let's talk about
Let's get
that.
to the point. 4 money
I
streams.
knew something about 4 and money.
Yeah, it's 4 money
Yes,
streams.
sir. Yes, sir. Your mom taught you well.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, this is what we need to know.
That's right.
As musicians, a lot of musicians don't understand that. They just get upset when no one listens to their music or they're not making any money. You know, but the 4 streams are, first you have your live performances. That's money that you can make from live performances. You have your writers, money that you can make from writers. You have money that you make from obviously streaming and record sales and all this other stuff. And you have the money that you make, which is, I guess in perpetuity, is money that you can make if you own your copyright and your masters.
Right there. Own it.
So the last part of owning your copyright and masters may not seem important because it's not immediate money that you're going to get just from owning your copyright. But
Right.
show you an example of who owns a copyright, who's going to get paid. Well, Berry Gordy and Holland and Dozier and Smokey Robinson owned a lot of the masters of Motown. And so, you know, that was a stream of money. Didn't do anything until Motown sold the Polygram
Right.
for $75 million and sold their catalog.
Right.
Polygram turned around and sold it to, I believe, Sony or somebody for $400 million.
Wow.
You're getting that money because you own this catalog.
So what you're telling me is that you have a vision for your business.
Exactly.
None
of the artists own those catalogs, own those masters. So they didn't partake in that $75 million, $400 million.
Wow.
Barry Gordy did. And so did the songwriters who own part of the masters did. So that's where that money comes into play. That's why it kind of sits there. That's why owning your masters is important. You know, also if your song, like Bob Seger, great rock musician, you know, a legend, had done years and decades of work. He made more money on that Like a Rock commercial for Ford when they did Like a Rock.
Oh yeah.
That?
Oh wow. Yeah. Like a Rock. Yeah.
He made more money on that 30-second commercial because he owned the copyright to that song than he had made in his entire career.
Wow.
So that's what owning the copyright is very important. And then, of course, you got your writers and you got your writers in publishing. That's money that you, outside of being an artist, that follows you.
Yeah.
You being a writer. I mean, there are a lot of people who write for other people, Beyonce, all these other people that you don't know anything about, but are sitting around collecting a check every quarter because their songs, they wrote the songs, and they have the writer's credit, and they also have the publishing credit, and you get paid not from the record label, not from any artists, not from any promoters. You get paid from a society, ASCAP or BMI, that tracks where this music is being played, how many times it's being played, where it's being licensed, and they compile that money and they total it, give it to you every quarter, what your percentage is from that money being played.
Wow.
And entities are having to pay licensing fees to play this music. So that's where that money is being generated. Wow. So that's another form of money that you're going to get for the next 30 years if you write a song. And that's not, if you're an artist and you just sing it, you make your little money. Right. And that's how you see some of these artists are broke. You know, man, we broke. Well, because you don't own anything. Ownership is important.
Ownership.
You don't own anything. Wow. And so now it's very important to treat yourself like a business, because you are a business. You are an entity. And you want to protect yourself. So you want to go get yourself an LLC, and you want to put everything up under your LLC. Because you want people coming to you trying to sue you for, knocking a pole over on stage, and you're electrocuting some people or whatever, which is bad.
It is bad. We're not joking about it.
You don't want to do that. But you ruin some equipment or something like that, all of a sudden someone wants to sue you. They're suing your LLC and not you, because you're working under the LLC, guys of the LLC. LLC is what's getting paid, and then you're paying yourself out of the LLC. So you're 1099ing yourself out. So it's you have to be a businessman in this genre as well. You have to understand business. And again, that, you know, you don't have it without the creativity. If no one likes what you play, or they don't like the music that you make, or your style, then none of this works.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that all goes into having a good product. You know, it's the same thing in business. If you got a good restaurant, you got good food, you have to have good cooks, you have to have good presentation, but you also have to have good business sense.
You know, and I love the fact that, you know, everything that you're saying goes back to when you came out of high school, you know, 18 years old, going to Florida A&M, not just for music, but because of the excellent business school. And I know actually that's one of the business schools I wanted to go to as well, because you knew that, you know, having that foundation and impartation from your mom and understanding, and, you know, Earl Gray's and some of the mentors to understand that, hey, you know, the business side of whatever you're going to do in your career is so important to understand, especially, you know, being an artist.
It's so critical. And I'm sure, just like with any other business, there are some challenges, especially being a Black artist. We're in an era of so many pandemics. I mean, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, just so many different things that are taking place now, political wars. I mean, it's just like, how does that affect you as a Black musician? What challenges have you faced?
It's the same challenges that go on through. I had a pod. I did a panel on Dave Kaz's channel. He allowed us, some younger musicians, to do a Black Lives panel on his profile. You know, hundreds of thousands of people. Which kudos to Dave Kaz. And the things we talked about were what you said. You know, as Black people, there are different things that we have to deal with that other people don't have to deal with. Images from the past, our parents who marched in the civil rights movement, the way they've been treated, the way we've seen other people be treated. But in business, we can't walk around with a chip on our shoulder, because we have to work and coexist.
Right.
And I think oftentimes, because we're not walking around in our day-to-day lives with our fists up, you know, and upset about everything with a chip on our shoulder, I think people don't think that there's a racial issue anymore, that there are any challenges that we have to go through. Hey, things are fine. No one's saying anything. Why is everybody all of a sudden just out of the blue upset? And they don't understand that there's a subtle issue of systemic racism that permeates the fabric of everything that we do. Everything that we do. And it's sometimes tough to get that concept or explain that to people who just don't know, because it's so subversive. It's not, you know, look, we understand people with the white sheets and coming around and being blatantly hateful. That's fine. We can deal with those people. We don't have to deal with them. You know, they don't want to deal with us. We don't deal with them. Hey, look, keep it moving. It's the systemic racism that is very difficult to root out of our nation. So, you know, an example, in music, you see a lot of the musicians on stage are African American, particularly in this genre. It's a R&B based music. It's not, you know, jazz is an art form that was created by Black people. You know, if you look at all the documentaries, Ken Burns' documentary's got a great documentary on jazz. It's created by Black people. It's a music of Black people, and so is R&B. But it's interesting how Black people are misrepresented or underrepresented in terms of ownership. In terms of owning a lot of these festivals, these big major festivals around the country. You got, you know, probably 60 to 70% Black attendance at a lot of these festivals. In some regards, it's 80 or 90%, depending on what part of the country you're in. But the festivals, by and large, 90% of the festivals are not owned by African Americans, Black people. 90% of the lead acts, the newer acts that are coming in that make the money, that aren't sidemen on stage, are making 10 times the amount of money that the sidemen are making, and deals with these promoters who are not African American to keep their shows going in a regular rotation. So you see some of the same artists on the shows all the time. Right. Well, that's a network, and that's created in a back room somewhere where there's a deal made that, you know, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to circulate through this system. and it's almost like a barrier. It's a wall. So if you're trying to get in, you hit this wall. You can't run around and say, "Oh, it's systemic racism," blah blah blah. Say, well, black people on stage, black people at the shows, but we don't own much of anything. Same thing with the NFL. Same thing with basketball. Same thing with a lot of this stuff. We've got our dollars going in to support this industry, yet we're underrepresented when it comes to ownership, which is, I think, the principle of this whole discussion is ownership. And so I think that's where it is, and the ownership becomes challenging because they keep moving the rock, they keep moving the goalpost. Hey, get this, you can do that. Get this, you can do that. But there are subtle things that you can't do as an African American. There's certain things that you don't even know about as an African American. And that speaks to the subtle systemic racism that still permeates our society with everything, in every aspect of business. So again, it's left for us to at least sometimes we don't even know the problem, so we don't even know how to challenge it or how to overcome it. So I think the first part is understanding the business, understanding everything about the business. The thing that I just walked you all through about the 4 streams of money, I don't think a lot of people even know that. I would say less than 20% of the musicians even know all of that.
Wow.
They just know how to make the music, but they don't know all the nuances. And I think that's given us that's creating us, causing us to be stagnant, not go anywhere, not move, not go. We're just here, and it's frustrating. So there's a lot of things that go on in this business and in life and in business in general that you can attribute to systemic racism. Can it be overcome? Yeah. Is it a challenge? Do we go through more things than most people do? Our race does. When we're talking about, the history of our race and tracing our roots, our history in a lot of instances for a product of slaves starts at 1865. We don't know what our history is, and then we have images, and people say, well, it's way back then. Well, I've got images of in the 50s and 60s people being lynched, and people, not being able to drink at a water fountain. I mean, this isn't ancient history. These are some of my parents are still alive who went through this. And then the police in them.
Hangings as recently as a couple weeks ago that are being ruled as suicides. I mean, you just don't really.
Suicide.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you really kind of brought to light, the realness of what's going on in our society, and even in the music business. It's important, for our audience to understand this. And you really share some just powerful golden nuggets that any entrepreneur, any professional, especially our, Black entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and professionals need to understand. Don't just go for the immediate gratification. You got to think about legacy. You got to think about down the road as far as the multiple streams of income and ownership. I mean, I think I heard that about at least 10 times. And if we said it 10 more times, we couldn't say it enough. Is ownership is key. And that's how we're really going to make some greater strides in business and whatever venue that God places us in to operate. Is ownership is the key. And so just kind of, as we close out, we just definitely want, our viewers to kind of hear, about some of your success. I know when we introduced you, we talked about you've been on the top 25, charts with smooth jazz. I know you travel all around the world, but just kind of share, a little bit about, some of your success and honors that you've had received as a world-renowned jazz artist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thank all my fans and people who support and listen. Like, you don't even know who's listening to your music, who's pushing it up there. But, I do have, I've got, again, 6 CDs. I'm working on my 7th. Out of those 6 CDs, I've got 15 singles that popped into the Billboard Top 25. And then I've got one that popped up to number 1. Called Pass the Groove, stayed at number 1 for 3 consecutive weeks.
Wow!
So first black trumpeter to get a number 1 hit in smooth jazz.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
That is awesome.
It's tough. I mean, it puts you in a different category when you do achieve, and again, the success is great, and it justifies what you do. It creates value for in your mind for what you do, because sometimes I'm down in this basement, I'm creating music, and I don't know if anybody's going to like it. You know, who's going to be listening to it, and it gets so depressing too. This industry can get real depressing because it's not, again, it's not instant gratification. It's a process.
Right.
But to have the success that I've had, and again, you said, you know, travel all over the world, these songs, you know, they reach. Great thing about the internet and internet stations and radios that they can go all over the world. And there's somebody, you know, one of my best trips was a few years ago. I played the Jazz and Soul Safari in Africa and Uganda. I played it with Maxie Priest and another jazz musician, Jakeem Joyner. And, you know, I didn't know what it was going to be. You know, I'd heard of it. But when I got there, the show was so big. They brought a stage in from a sound stage in from London. We had it at a cricket field or soccer field that held 6,000 people inside and another 4,000 people outside on the hills.
Right.
All Africans that enjoyed our music, the one to come listen to us.
Wow.
And when I got on stage, it was a big, huge sound stage. You know, I'd played all over. I'd done the Dubai Jazz Fest. I'd been to China. I'd been all over. When I saw that many people all engaged in what I was doing, I said, Lord, I have been blessed. I have truly been blessed. I mean, this I started out in my basement making this song. And for now to have 10,000 people staring at you that know your music, that show up because they heard Lin Rountree was coming.
Wow.
It's just, there's no words that can express that feeling. You know what I mean? And it's scary too. It's scary. It's like, oh, you got to play for these people now because
I know that's right.
You better be Lin Rountree.
Right.
So not only that, you have a responsibility to live up to your end of the bargain, to continue to create good music. Right. And so I think that's what the success is. And having, you know, the understanding of the business aspect of all of this makes it even better. Makes you know that, helps you know that you know, you have control, or as much control. Sometimes you can't control certain things, but you have a lot more control over the dissemination of your music and how it's being used and where it's being played, and you understand better, you know, who it's reaching and where it's going, the inner workings of the music, not just putting it out there. You can track it, but that is the crux of the success. You know, being able to touch that many people.
Right. Well, I tell you, Lin, that was such a phenomenal story. And then a lot of what you shared, even that we didn't even know. But again, congratulations on all your success. You know, my good friend Lin Rountree, it's just been a pleasure having you with us.
Yeah, I'm honored. I mean, I see what you all are doing, the great things that you guys are doing. You in real estate, man, and it's I mean, it just makes me smile because I'm like, you know, and it also motivates. It's like, okay, Mike's doing it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Wow. People that you know are doing it. Mike and his wife are doing it, man. They're really doing it, and it just fills me up with pride, knowing that you guys are successful, and now you're to the point of providing a platform. You're lifting as you climb. You're providing a flat platform for others. Not only that, but you're teaching. You know, the most valuable information that we can get is from people who've had similar experiences. You know, you can read all you want to in a book, but if you see and know a person and see them successful, that's the ultimate motivator. And to be able to share that knowledge and impart that wisdom on as many people as you can, it only makes you and what you guys do stronger. It strengthens your platform and pushes you up. As you pull people up, it creates more of a base for you. Pull more people up, it's more of a base, stronger and stronger. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, man.
Well, hey, we appreciate that. And you know, success begets success, and iron sharpens iron. So I know you're sharpening us and a lot of people who are going to be listening to this. So we appreciate you, Lin. And just, you know, just as we close out, you know, we're definitely going to have your information here. But, you know, real quickly, how can people find your music?
You can easily go to linrountreemusic.com. That's L-I-N, Rountree with no D, music.com, linrountreemusic.com. And from there, you can find all of my handles for social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you can join. I have an open page, so you don't have to be approved. I will block you if there's some nonsense, but I know you know, I have an open page. I answer as much as I can, so I engage personally. I don't have a manager running any of my sites. You can from there go to tab and see all my records and you know, buy what you like, you know, support. You can see all the initiatives that I'm doing on my page. And my wife also, she's an entrepreneur. She's got a foundation. She's a dancer, and so she got a 501c3 and a business called LOLAM Cares, and it's for the express purpose of being able to find resources to have inner city youth take dance classes and partake in learning the art of dance. And so she's doing that. So we do that in conjunction as well, which is another thing leads me to your combined business and you guys on a platform together. And it took my wife and I a while to figure out that we were stronger together. Regardless if we had the two different businesses, I would support her, she would support me. We would appear together, and we'd be, that's the power couple right there. So seeing you two, it scares me. If I just saw him, I wouldn't be as intimidated. But now seeing his better half with him, you know, I'm nervous. I'm scared. I know he's serious now.
That's good. That's good. Well, this was lots of fun, Lin. And again, we're gonna have your information in our post here. But thank you, Lin. This has just been a pleasure speaking with you. And I know our viewers are gonna be really blessed by what you've shared. And again, you know, as we close out, we recommend or just encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, Business Empowerment Series by ACG and Associates. You can find and subscribe, and then make sure you get the notifications by clicking the bell. Okay. But Lin, again, hey, we'll stay connected. Looking forward to talking with you again in the near future, but keep doing your thing, putting out great music. And, again, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. God bless, man. All right. Take care.